Well, thanks, everyone. That concludes our tour of the WebConnect CRM and BI features. Thanks, everyone, for all your questions. We do have more questions in the queue, but we'll have to address those directly after the presentation. So just make sure to check the contact me box, and we'll be in touch after the demo. I did notice a number of questions, though, that were a little broader about WebConnect in general, which reminded me I forgot to bring up a couple of overview slides. So let's see if I can fire those up real quick. And we'll just walk through these real quickly here. So yeah, we've been doing P21 related development since about 2006, and out of that, WebConnect evolved. So it's been built specifically from the ground up for P21. It does run on any device that has a browser. So that's a tablet, PC, smartphone, laptop, whatever you have. If it has a browser, it can run WebConnect. It has a number of features with live read-writes in broad categories of CRM, BI, VMI tools, remote ordering, and customer portals. And it actually installs in your environment. And just a quick overview of that. So it'll run on any Windows server that you'd like it to run on. We just enable Microsoft's built-in IIS capability and tell WebConnect where your P21 data lives. And then folks on the inside of your four walls and from the outside can all connect, and WebConnect will just work right through your firewall, VPN, or whatever security appliance that you have in place. So in a moment, Andy Garrett will walk us through the WebConnect remote order features. He'll touch on things like quick orders, quick order pad, the ability to order directly from contracts or sales history, do some barcode input, also create orders directly from import files. So he'll walk through all those, and we'll answer some questions along the way. Then on deck is Ewell Gatan, and Ewell will actually walk through the customer portal features. And so the customer portal allows your customers to actually log in and view their data, so they can look at invoices, orders, aging, lots of their data. You can actually enable them if you want to enter orders, and so they'll have the ability to use a number of the same features that Andy will walk through here momentarily. And you can actually, even if you want to, set up an admin level user at your customer location, and then that user can go out and set an unlimited number of their own users in their environment. So Ewell will walk us through that in a little bit. And but before I do hand it off to Andy, I also just wanted to take a moment quickly and thank the sponsors of this event, allowing us the time to present WebConnect today. I also wanted to mention that there's a couple of great P21 events coming up soon, Epicor Insights and the P21 Worldwide User Group Conference. So we hope to see many of you guys at the Epicor Insights Conference in the spring, and of course stop by our booth this fall if you're able to make the User Group Conference. They're both great events, good opportunities to stay up to speed on P21 and also connect with folks that can help you get more out of P21 itself. Also wanted to remind everyone about our free community version and the WebConnect free trial offer. If you're looking for a quick and easy way to let your users access their P21 data on smartphones and tablets for free, go to p21connect.com/community and register, and we'll send you the deployment bits for that. It's a great tool that a lot of P21 shops use as their primary mobility application, but some shops are also using it just to test the mobile waters and get meaningful feedback from their users regarding whatever mobility needs or plans that they have in mind. For community information, you can also visit our YouTube channel. We have a number of community videos out there, walkthroughs, installation videos, also some other WebConnect videos as well. So just go to YouTube and search for P21 Connect in the YouTube search bar. And also, the last thing to mention is our WebConnect free trial offer. If at some point you would actually like to see your P21 data running in WebConnect, we can set up the WebConnect free trial in your environment, and you can walk through WebConnect at your leisure and put all the features through their paces. Okay, great. Well, now, without further ado, it's on to remote ordering, and we'll pause at a couple of points and answer a few questions as we proceed. So, Andy, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Wait for my screen to come back here so that I can, there we go. Much like Doug, I'm going to go ahead and start out with a quick PowerPoint talking a little bit about remote ordering before we actually get into seeing some of the screens and exactly what it does. So from a very high level, WebConnect basically is a system that allows you to place orders into your P21 ERP through the use of any kind of web browser technology. So what we do is we read real-time customer item and pricing information from your live P21 database. So everything's real-time. We then provide multiple ways to create P21 sales orders to meet different business needs. So for instance, some people might want to use the standard remote order form, which allows you to kind of create an order on the fly, and people use the BMI tools, and some people use both. So we provide a lot of different mechanisms for that. We include a lot of per-user permissions in the system. This gives you a lot of flexibility and control over how each individual user works with remote ordering inside of the WebConnect system. So it gives you a lot of flexibility there. And also, remote ordering is available to all the user roles, so from your administrative users to your sales reps, sales managers, and including customer logins. So it's a great tool for extending everything out that way. For remote order types, we have several in the system that I mentioned earlier for flexibility purposes. The first one is the remote order form, but there's also something called the quick order forms, which people use a lot for VMI and CMI. There's also contract order forms for P21 shops that use job contract pricing inside of P21. Those are kind of neat. They let you place an order right off the contract. We also have something called the order pad, which is barcode capable. So a lot of people have worked with using that as far as reading barcodes. But you can also just enter items in it very quickly as well. So start with the remote order form, kind of the high level of what it does. It provides the greatest flexibility for entering an order. I mean, you can select all kinds of different variables, up to including things like the delivery method on the fly, packing bases, that type of stuff. It's a simplified version of the P21 order entry screen, so users have a bit of familiarity if they're using P21 and WebConnect. They'll kind of intuitively know where things should live and how things should work. Items can be added one at a time or in bulk. The bulk adding items are extremely effective for being able to create an order very quickly. A lot of people really take advantage of those. And it also includes the ability to bulk import items. So not only can you add items in bulk from a variety of different sources, but you can also import items from a file. So that can come in greatly much handy when you're trying to work with files like that. Quick order forms are our VMI solutions. So they basically allow a user to go out and not have to worry about finding an item in inventory. They're kind of a virtual map of the location. They have an unlimited number of these forms that you can create, and they're all assigned to a specific ship to. We store information about the item and the layout of the area where you're trying to service the inventory. We also include routing and notification systems, so it's possible to build these forms into something where one person starts an order and the next person down the line approves it, puts a PO on it, does things like that. And to use the form at the end of the day, all you have to really do is enter in an order quantity. So it just makes it really, really fast to do an order. Contract order forms are a lot like quick order forms, but you don't have to work with building the layout in WebConnect. You build a contract, and basically you have an ordering form inside of WebConnect. They're a lot like quick order forms. The order pad is basically a way that you can build an order from a simple list of item entry boxes. It can work great with barcode scanners and things like that. If you know your item IDs, it's also very fast as well. I'll show you how all that works when we get there. It can provide real-time validation, and you can enter either the item ID, or if you're using a scanner, you could scan the UPC code. And definitely barcode scanner capable. And it results in an order in the remote order form, which I will show you here in just a second. So that's kind of a high level, so you kind of get some idea where we're going. From here, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the system and go straight over to the remote order form. Let's start there. So to create a new remote order, I can click on my top menu up here and go to New Remote Order if I want to. So I'll do that. So just kind of a fast link over here. So this is what a brand new remote order would look like. Notice that you have a place down here to enter items, and you can select quote or whether or not it can be import approved. And in some cases, if you're granted permission, you might be able to send in an RMA. To start an order, all you do is go select a ship to. So if I know the ship to ID, I can just type it in here, or I can go search for a ship to either by ship to name or by customer name. So in this case, if I wanted to search for 123 Warehousing, my favorite customer, I would do that. And these are all the ship tos that contain 123 Warehousing. I'll click this one right here. When I do that, notice it pops up the mandatory order notes out of P21. So just like in P21, if you've got these order notes set up and you want to remind someone of something when they're creating an order, that's where this would come into play. So in this case, we've got a blanket PO, and we also are not supposed to sell these guys blue widgets. They only want red widgets. So it's good to know and be reminded of that as soon as I start the order. Go ahead and close out of that real quick. Now that I've added the ship to in, I can go ahead if I want to and start adding things like the PO number. I should have grabbed the blanket PO, but that's okay. And there's some other tabs up here like for contacts, customer, that kind of thing that I can fill in along the way if I want to. To add items to the order, you think a lot like P21, we can just go ahead and start typing the item if we want to. So I know one item in my system, it's a DAQ. I'll just type a DAQ-6. So if you know it all the way through and you don't want to search for it, you can just type it in. And when you do that, it'll go ahead and grab the item, bring back pricing, and this is P21 pricing. So if it's if this customer and this ship to are set up to go through pricing libraries, or if they're doing last margin pricing or anything like that, it's the same price you're going to get in Profit 21 that you get in the WebConnect system. From here, if I want to, I can go ahead and change the item quantity. Maybe I want 3 of these. This only has a unit measure of each, but so I'll just leave it at that at this point. I'll go ahead and save the item into the order. Notice that my total shows up here at the top, really nice and convenient. And here's my extended price and all this information. If I need to, from here, I can edit this item. So if I want to, I could change the quantity here. If I'm granted user permission and it looks like I didn't grant myself this permission, I could even edit the unit price. But in this case, I don't have permission for that. And so where that comes in is, let's say you have some new sales reps out there you're bringing in and training, and you don't want them to have that capability. You could lock it down, and they would be restricted to the unit price that P21 offers up or calculates. And then maybe they would need a sales manager or something to actually modify the price for them. More seasoned reps, maybe you want to go ahead and open up the unit pricing on this for them. A couple other interesting things I can do. I'll cancel out of that real quick. I can look up some basic information about this item from the line item itself. So when I click on the little magnifying glass, it's going to bring back some stock information, show me what's on hand, allocated, back ordered, and a little bit of costing information. And a lot of this is configurable with a user permission as well. For instance, I've limited my account down to only seeing standard costs, but moving average cost is also something that can be shown in this pop-up if you want to. Other things that you can do, a very handy tool is this item sales history tool. So this brings back each time that the customer has bought this item over time. And you can see it's been $208.50 for quite a while, but I can also see they usually order 4 or 2 at the various ship tos that are out there. So it gives you some kind of an idea, especially when you're dealing with stuff that people buy larger quantities of, some kind of an idea of what their usage is so you can make recommendations. So someone's calling up and saying, well, I want to buy 50 of these, and you can see they normally buy 500 at a time every week or so. You can recommend that they buy more based on what their order history has been. Other things that are sitting out here that are just handy item tools here is this item PO pop-up. So this will tell you if there's any purchase orders out there from the supplier. There's not at this point. That can come in handy if you notice you're out of stock on something and you want to know when you're expecting something to come in. Very good. I mentioned that this was probably the slowest possible way to add an item to a remote order. The faster ways all come under this bulk add items section. This is really a much faster and more powerful way to add items to an order through WebConnect. And there are a lot of options to do it. So we can add items from sales contracts, job price contracts in Profit 21. We can add items from order history. The idea being that if a customer buys something frequently, they're more likely to buy it again. We can also add items from quick order forms and quick order templates, and in a few minutes I'll explain what those are. But this can be a very, very, very powerful way to organize your inventory to something that's user-friendly for searching and finding things for an order form as well. It's kind of interesting. And we can also import items from a file. I'll show all of these here in just a second. We'll start with contracts. This customer does have a contract, so I can go ahead and select that. And these are all of the items that are on the contract. If I scan up and down here, I'll see a whole bunch of things. So if I were going to add an item to it, all I'd really need to do is put in a quantity. Maybe I want 3 of these and 2 of those, and then add the selected items. WebConnect will go out and get the unit pricing, calculate everything for us. Notice my order total went up, and if I go back to my order, I can see that I actually have 2 more items on the order. Also notice that this item here is going out at a minus 20% profit. So that's telling me that something's going on with P21 pricing, and this item's not coming back at a good margin. So one thing I might want to do is go ahead and select the contract and see if this changes pricing for me. Oh, wow. And in this case, if I do select the contract, they go to a minus 25% margin on both of these items. So this is something I definitely want to take a look at if I were working with the purchasing system or trying to figure out what's going on with our inventory and costing at this point. Another way to bulk add items is from order history. This is a very flexible way to do it. As long as the customer has bought something in the past, you can find it here. So it basically has a start date, and this is where we're looking at when's the last time a customer bought something. And all I have to do is click the Find button, and it'll basically bring back an item report. It's kind of a ranking report of the items that these guys buy by total sales dollars. So this is the highest volume from 1/18/2014 at $74,000 for the total sales. And it'll scroll down and you'll get to the smaller items down here where this guy was $5,466 for the total volume. I can filter this listing if I want to. So I could filter by item ID or product group or even supplier at this point to limit this list down. But again, just like the contract order form or the add from contract, simply go out here, put in some quantities, add the items in, and it will go through and recalculate pricing, and now I've got a slightly larger order. So as you can see, it could be a very, very rapid way to add items to an order this way. I'm going to skip over the quick order forms and quick order templates for right now. Works just like adding from order history or contracts, and go straight to this import items from file section. So if I click this, what this allows me to do is bring in a series of items that I might have in a spreadsheet. And I'll show you the help file on this real quick to show you just how simple the spreadsheet can be. Really, all we have to have is the item ID. If we have just a big, long listing of item IDs, we'll go out and we'll find the default unit of measure, default sales unit, and we'll also just assume a quantity of 1. So if you think of a use case for that, one might be, well, I want to put a spreadsheet together that has 200 items on it, and I want to quickly generate a quote for, one of these, kind of like a price sheet. So I could do that, import it in, and get a price sheet on the fly that way. If I do want to, though, I can go ahead and bring in the quantity and the unit of measure, and it'll go ahead and do those as well. It will also try to validate all these. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'll go ahead and find a file just to show you how this works. And I do believe I've got some out here in my little C test folder. And way down here at the bottom, I believe I have imports. So here's one that's got a bunch of valid items on it. We'll just select it, click upload, and here are all my items. So in the file itself, I've just got the item ID, the quantity, and the unit of measure. We're going out and finding the item description real quick for us. That's part of the validation process. If I did have a validation error, it would show up over here and tell me exactly what's wrong with the file. For instance, if the item ID is invalid, it would tell me that. If the unit quantity is not a number of some kind, it would tell me that. Or if the unit of measure didn't exist or didn't exist for this item, it will tell me that as well and not let me bring that item in. But assuming I want all of these items, and by the way, I can uncheck them if I don't want one or two of them in here, I can basically just click Add Selected Items, and it'll go through, and just like it did with bulk add items, go out and recalculate pricing, add all these items in. When it's done, the list goes away. If I needed to re-import it again, I can just go select the file again. And then go back to my order. Now I've got a whole bunch of items on here. So this is a very fast way to bring items into an order as well. Once I have the order kind of built the way I want to, there's some other things that I can do in order to work with this order in WebConnect. A couple of things are over here on the shipping side. Here's the ship to information. There is a per user permission that you can open up the ability for a user to edit this. The default is to not be able to edit the ship to address, but in some cases you might have an end user that actually needs the ability to change this for some reason. So we did leave that option open for us. Other options are the ship info. So by default, if you're placing an order through WebConnect, we're going to bring back all of the shipping defaults from the ship to and Profit 21. And those are what will be used. And there's a checkbox here that says basically use the ship to defaults. If I uncheck this checkbox, then I have the ability to change the delivery instructions, change the freight code, carrier, and packing basis. Each one of these options is also a per user permission. So you may want to open up the ability for a user to change the delivery instructions, but not change the freight code, carrier, or packing basis. Or you may want them to be able to change the carrier, but not the delivery instructions. So you can set those settings up for each user exactly how you'd like to. So in this case, I'll go ahead and change the carrier to our company truck on this and just leave the rest of it alone. Other things you can do with this order is set the order classes. So let's say we have a rule that orders that come in from the remote order form, we want to call them industrial orders. So go ahead and set that order class, and that way, when the order is brought into Profit 21, it'll be associated with the correct order class. Makes things a little easier to search later on for the order in Profit 21 and run some other reporting. And we can also put in an order note. So if I needed to, beyond the delivery instructions, just throw some type of note in here, it would go in as well. So once I have my order set the way I want it to, and I've made all the changes I need to make on it, the next step would be to go ahead and confirm the order. Confirming the order is actually what sends it into Profit 21, which is actually kind of an interesting concept because I could be working with this order for some time inside of WebConnect without allocating inventory or doing anything along those lines. So it's kind of like a working document. In fact, maybe I want to go ahead and use this as kind of a pre-quote system. So at any point I can change it to a quote if I want to. I can, let's say I want to add a contact to the order. So I come in here and find a contact for the customer. And now I'd like to email this order to someone. So I can just select the email button, put in a subject, your test order. That's what that says, believe it or not. My text, here's some text for you. And that would obviously be more meaningful. Go and select the contact that I've added to it. I've also added myself as a contact. And go ahead and send the email out. When I do that, I'll go ahead and send the mail that's been sent. And I can, at this point, go open up my, go ahead and just open it up on my local computer where I've got it saved to pick up my email. One of these looks quick. So this is actually what this would look like coming in as a WebConnect email. So here's my subject, which should say your test order, but I'm very lazy. And here's any kind of description I want to put at the top. And here's all the particulars about the order itself. So it's got all of the line items that are on the order, the unit price, the extended price. Notice it says pre-quote, but it will have your company information right here. There are a couple other neat fields down here. We can put a disclaimer like this: when all price is subject to verification, you can put whatever you want to be there. That's a configuration setting. And also a link maybe to an external web page if you want to link maybe to your B2B site, or you've got something else out there you want to link to. So we provide those two options as well. But I haven't really confirmed this order yet, so it still is in WebConnect. I want to go see this order somewhere. I can actually go to my pending remote orders section. And this brings back a listing of all of the orders that are in working status or some type of status inside of WebConnect. You can see I've got a bunch of them as I go through the tests and demos. So here's the order that we're working with, and right now it's a quote. And if I want to get back to it, I just click the magnifying glass, and it's right where I left it. Again, my mandatory order notes pop up for me. When I'm ready to confirm it, I just hit the confirm button, and it'll validate and say, hey, are you sure you want to continue? I say, okay, and it's gone. And now you can see that my this quote that I first started in WebConnect has been sent. It's in sent status, which if you have the import process set up in P21, it's probably going to be in P21 within about 5 or 10 seconds. Once it actually gets there, the status would say received. You'd see a P21 order number, the P21 approved status, whether or not it's complete in P21, and also its validation status. The order number, when you get it here, you can actually click on that link and it will take you to a WebConnect version of that order number. So I'm going to pause here for just a second. Doug, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. We have a number of questions. Some of these I'm betting you'll probably hit on in your next section there, and if not, we can pause for questions at the end of your remarks and see how many more we can hit on. But let's see. Starting off, we have a question that says, can we limit certain users in WebConnect to be able to enter orders or not enter orders, or what kinds of permissions do we have control over regarding orders at the user level?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's go to, in fact, I'll just jump into the user management section and show some of the capabilities that are associated with each user that's out there. So I'll just edit my account. I think I wanted to turn on the ability to edit pricing on a remote order form anyway. So this is where you would edit the various permissions for a user throughout the WebConnect system. And there are different tabs up here depending upon what role the user's in. For instance, admin rights does not show up if you're a sales rep, for instance. Where you adjust remote ordering settings are under the remote order tab. So when I click on this, there are a bunch of different settings. The first one is the taker name. So anytime I enter an order as a user of WebConnect, and that order goes into P21, we can send a taker that's associated with it, and you can adjust this for each user of the system, or you can leave it as the default, which is also a configuration setting. But other things that are possible here is you can import orders in approved status, so we can change the default for that to where they don't come in approved. And we can also disallow the end user from being able to change the approved status selection. So in this case, what I've basically done is locked out this user's ability to send an order into P21 approved at all. All of these orders for this user at this point would have to be approved by back office. So I can go ahead and change those back the way I had them. This is an interesting setting. Always require customer PO number. If you're inside of P21 and you set up a customer, you can set that customer to require a PO when they're doing orders, but you don't have to. What this setting does is it forces the end user to put in a PO number, even if the customer setting in P21 does not require a PO number, so it overrides it that way. It does not work the other way. If I uncheck this button and the customer is required to have a PO number, on their sales orders, it'll still require me to put a PO number on it in WebConnect, so it does both of those. There are also various settings for the ones we looked at earlier, the ability to select carrier, packing basis, those types of things. And then there's specific settings for the quick order system, which we'll get into in a few minutes. Things like showing pricing on the quick order forms and quantity available. I'll explain why that's important a little later on. And then for the remote order form specifically, there are some settings like allowing price changes, which I'm going to turn on for myself. If I wanted to, I could default orders to a quote and unallow the quote order selection. So again, that would lock down orders to be quotes for a user. We can also allow this RMA flag selection. Most of the time, people leave that off unless it's a specific user that needs that capability. Oh, and by the way, that setting is not available for customer logins. We can also allow remote order confirmation, allow ship-to address edits. We can also display different costs in remote order for each user if we want to. So there's several different sections or selections here. Standard cost, commission cost, other costs, current moving average cost. So there's a lot of permissions on that can be set. And then also there's the ability to work with the contract order form, so various settings here. So I think your original question, though, was what can we limit a customer if we want to not be able to use the remote ordering system?
I think it was just, I think it was just limiting users at this point. Yeah, limiting. So these would be, I guess, their users, but it's probably the same for customers. So go ahead.
Okay, very, very good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, by the way, if you do want to disable someone's ability to use remote ordering, you can just turn off remote ordering in the main menu selections. So just so you know that that's there. Anything else?
Yeah, let's hit one more, Andy, and then go ahead. Let's see. We have a question about looking up a price. Can we, if we just want to look up the price of an item, do we actually need to create an order in WebConnect to look up a price?
No, absolutely not. Again, a lot of times you may want to because once you have the pricing on the remote order form, you can email it and stuff like that. But in some cases, if you're just trying to find a price real fast, one way to do it is simply to go to item inquiry. If you go to item inquiry, you can look up an item. So in this case, I'll just search for my handy dandy box because there's got to be boxes in the system. And this is a wildcard search. So it's searching item ID, description, extended description, a few other fields that are out there. When I find the item I'm looking for by searching for it this way, I can go look at the details of it. So I'll take this little guy right here, this T-shirt rags, and a 50-pound box. It looks like a lot of the item information you would normally want to see here, but the ability to get a price is on this last tab over here. So in this case, I would just need to select a ship to. So in this case, I know one, so I'm just going to type it in real quick. I type in my 10315 guy, and it brings back a price of $88 for a box. If I want to, I can change it to a case, and it changes it up to $1,600. I can see if it's on the contracts, and it doesn't look like this one is, and change the quantity. The quantity is real helpful because if you've got $1,672 sale, like 13 of those, well, my math's not that good, but I can just type in the quantity, and now I get a new extended price here. And they say, well, how about I meant 13 boxes. Okay, well, there you go. It's $1,144. So it makes it really fast to be able to do that.
Okay,
Any
thanks,
other
Andy.
questions?
No, that'll do it.
Okay, very good. The next thing I think I'm going to do is jump over to the quick order system. This is our VMI side of things. And what a quick order is, at a very high level, is it's basically a stored listing of inventory items that a customer buys on a regular basis. And that we store those items in something called a quick order form. And the quick order form has certain attributes associated with it to make placing an order very fast, so you don't have to think through a lot of the things that you normally would with starting a remote order where you have all the flexibility. With a quick order, we define a lot of those variables up front so that at the end of the day, all you really have to do is select some quantities for some items and create the order. It takes a lot of the guesswork and decision-making out of the form. So here's a form right here. This is an order form. And notice that it's for a ship to. You can create as many of these forms as you want for a ship to. It's got a title associated with it. This just makes it faster to find it. So imagine you've got 15 forms for a ship to for some reason. You would name them different things depending upon, what they need to be. You can store a PO number with the order, and also a contract number. So if you want to make every order from this quick order form be associated with the job contract price in P21, you can. Before I use the form, I'm going to go show you some of the things you can set up on it. So I'll click over here, and this would be editing this form. So again, here's where I would change the form name. If I wanted to do that, I could. So I'd change it to something else if I need to. I can store my PO number with it if I want to. So in this case, I can throw in some text here. Maybe this is their blanket PO. And they don't have any contracts, so I can't select a contract with it. Some of the other things that are available are like the group title. When you add items to a quick order form, you can put them in groups. Groups just make it easier to find the items, and also they can match up with the physical characteristics of the place where you're running VMI. So just kind of a quick look at that. Here are all the groups that I've set up on this form. So when I want to, I could just say, well, what's in my gloves group? Okay, here's all my gloves. So I can say, well, show me everything. So I just select all, and it'll go through and bring back every item on the darn form. And so there might be a whole bunch of them that are here. And notice there's a little orange line between each group. So it just makes it real easy to define all these items that are on here. It's real easy to edit them from here as well. So if I wanted to select a few of these guys and say I want to move these from whatever group they're in now, I want to move them over to grinding, I can just move the selected items, and the form gets moved around. So it just makes it real easy to be able to do that stuff. I can associate a contact with this order, so that way every time someone uses this order form, it's going to have the same contact. So in this case, I'll go ahead and select Carl Wiggins again and save my contact information. Other things that I can do is I can define email settings. So every time someone places an order off of this form, I want to be able to notify certain people. So maybe I want the ship to rep to know, the sales rep that's assigned to ship to know that an order's been placed off this order form every time. Back office, a lot of times people will set up a catch-all back office email address for WebConnect remote orders. And in this case, every time someone places an order, we want it to go to a back office email address, and those people see that order in their inbox. We can also define the ship to email. So if you've got an email address set up associated with the ship to P21, and decide that we'd like them to receive a copy of this order every time it's used. We do recognize that sometimes these are not the right email addresses to use, so we also let you just add more emails in here ad hoc. So you can just basically go add any one you want to, and they'll receive a copy of the order every time it's used as well. Mentioned groups a minute ago. This is where you would define your groups. So you can set up as many as you want, define their sort order, and change their sort order at any point. So for instance, maybe I want to move lenses up to the top. I could just change the sort order if I want to and be done with that. Shipping, we saw that on the remote order form. This gets really powerful on a quick order form. The idea is that if I don't change these settings, however the ship to is set up in Profit 21, that this order will be handled when it gets to P21. However, when it comes to a quick order form, I really might not want to use the ship to defaults because I may want to have some special delivery text if I want to, some delivery instructions here. So maybe every time we do a VMI order, maybe we want to deliver to the back box. We want that to be on there every time. Also, there's some of these settings over here that maybe the default packing basis for this ship to is partial, but for whatever reason, we want to make we want to send order complete for our VMI orders, and then we might want to select a different carrier than the default. So in this case, maybe we want to make it company truck, or might even set up a brand new carrier in P21 specifically dedicated to the VMI/quick order stuff. So that would allow you to do that as well. And then also we might want to change the freight code for whatever reason. So we put that capability in. At any time, if I want to go back to the ship to defaults, just recheck use ship to defaults. everything goes back to the way it was. But if I want to move it back the other way again, I can do that, and it remembers the settings that I left the last time. The other really powerful tool when you're setting up a form are these order classes. So the idea is, let's say we want to track all of our VMI orders with order class 1 VMI orders. So when I work with this form and set it up, I can make sure and set that order class to VMI orders. And now anytime this order form is used to generate a P21 order, it's automatically going to have the correct order class for me in here. Once I have everything set up, using the form is very, very simple. I basically can just go to View Form, and to place an order, I can just select from whatever group that I want to start with. So maybe I want to start with gloves again, and I just want 3 of these. All I have to do is put in a quantity, 8 of these, 5 of these, and add those items in. Notice that the line's got color-coded to remind me that, yes, I've already added these to the order. I always just come over here and look and see what's on the order specifically. Here are the 3 items that I've added so far. I don't have to just select gloves, though. Again, I could select all. If I select all, then it's going to bring back everything that's on this order form, which can be a ton of different items on here, and scroll around. So it's just another way to be able to do it. So when I'm ready to place the order, I can stick in a purchase order number. Oh, this one's got the blanket purchase order that we saved before. I can go ahead and put in an order note. So maybe I want to say something on here, and I'm ready to go. So in this case, I would just click confirm, and it would shoot in. But again, since this is a living document, maybe your end user gets sidetracked. Maybe they're out there and they're putting items in, and they need to go to a different part of the WebConnect system to do something. Maybe they needed to go somewhere different for whatever reason. They can always get back to the order they were working on by going to pending quick orders. Here's the one we were working with right here. Just go open it back up again. Go select my my gloves shelf, and we should notice, yep, there's those 3 items that I worked with. Now I need to add 5 of these and go from there. When the order is ready to go, I just simply hit the confirm, ask just like it did on a remote order form, are you sure you want to send this in? You say, yep, okay, and away it goes. And now it will be in a status of sent. So that's how the quick order forms work. Doug, do we have any other questions out there?
Yeah, we do have a couple of questions, and let's see. The first one is, let's see, do we need to manually import WebConnect remote orders into P21 somehow, or is it just a, I guess an automated or seamless process?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. The way that orders get into Profit 21 through WebConnect is through the scheduled import service. A lot of people out there will be familiar with that. It's what B2B uses to bring orders into the system. And basically, it's just a service that you turn on in Profit 21, and you can just leave it running, and it'll constantly look for orders that WebConnect generates and bring them into the system. Some companies also like to do it a little differently than that. Instead of just leaving it running all the time, what they'll do is they'll have a person that goes out and reviews the orders that are in WebConnect, looks to see what's out there, and then goes and manually runs the scheduled import service periodically through the day, and then watches the orders come in and then handles them in little batches like that. So that's a workflow and a process that each company can decide which is best for them.
Okay. The next question is regarding pricing. Is the pricing live at a P21? And I guess it's asking about the rules. So I suppose as it in WebConnect, both in WebConnect and as it comes into P21, does it follow the established rules for a given item or price?
Yes. So pricing lines, all of those are the way that WebConnect goes about getting pricing as well. So your pricing should be the same. I did want to point out something that is kind of interesting along those lines. So if you go back to our pending remote orders here, there was a button I failed to show a second ago. So if you're looking at this order right here, maybe this order's been sitting in WebConnect for some time, maybe a week or something while someone's been working with it. You do have the ability to refresh the pricing. So when we get a price, we go ahead and put it in and store it. But a user may want to refresh this from time to time if they're working with an order for a long period of time. And then it'll go out and actually recalculate all the pricing and see if anything has changed. So it's kind of a neat option there.
Okay. I think we have time for one more question, Andy, and I'm getting nudged here that we're kind of bumping up against our time, but we still need to pass it to Ewell for the customer portal. The last question, I guess I'll throw at you from the list here is someone's asking about the ability to use a scanner to enter an order. So I'm assuming that means barcode scanner.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of ways that can be handled. If you remember back on the main remote order form that we're working with here, it is possible to import items from a file. So it would be possible if you really wanted to set up a scanner and scan into a spreadsheet and then just import all those items into a file. Another strategy that we have, if you want to actually work within the UI to just barcode scan things, is what we call the order pad. And what the order pad is basically just a big long listing of text boxes, and these are scanner enabled if you want to do that. You can either scan the item ID or you can scan the UPC code, and it'll validate either one of those if you're doing that. And so you would simply just scan an item right here and put in a quantity and rinse and repeat and send the order in. The first thing you'd have to do is select a customer. So in this case, I'll type this guy in, select a ship to, and then go ahead and add my item that I know. I do know one item, and I hope I do. Tab that in. It will go out and validate this. If you're using barcode scanning, one thing you might want to do is you can disable item validation every time you make a scan. It'll still validate it when you try to send it in, but this makes barcode scanning a little more seamless. Let's put in a quantity, and when I'm all ready with this thing, I would simply hit the next button. I'll tell you what, before I do that, I'm going to put in a fictitious item here real quick just to show you what's going to happen. If I put in a bad item ID, it's basically going to tell me a data validation error. There's an error below here. You go out and find the error, get rid of your bad ID, and then hit the next button again. When it can validate everything, it's basically going to start a new remote order in the remote order form for me, but it just makes it really, really fast. Now, once you get it here inside the remote order form, all of the options that you had when you started a remote order from scratch are at your fingertips as well. So maybe I have 50 items that I've added from scanning, but from here I want to go ahead and set up something different on the shipping info, or add a different contact to it, or add an order class, or maybe even I want to add a bunch more items to it from order history, or search for a specific item that isn't barcode scanned. So, a great example where that might come up is, let's say you use the order pad and you're at a customer location and you're scanning barcodes and putting in quantities, and someone at your customer location says, hey, can you also get me this item? You may not have a barcode for it there, but they'd like to have it on that same order. So in this case, you could just simply come here, maybe search for it by item ID, description, something like that, and add it into the item, or add it into the order here. So let's grab this 5004 guy. They have each is they want one of those. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, just scanning items, and that's what you can do. You can actually work with a full order when you're done.
Okay, great. Well, there's a lot more questions out there. I'll just remind attendees to please check the Contact Me box if you'd like us to follow up directly with you on any of these questions that unfortunately we just don't have a lot of time for today. Andy, anything else you want to cover, hit on closing remarks before we pass it along?
I don't think so right now. Ewell, let's see if I can start passing the presenter role over to you, or give you mouse control on this guy, and we're ready to go. Sound okay?
Okay. Off to you.